Hey everybody. Do you ever get those, do you ever have those days when you just feel stuck in a rut and you get cooped up inside your house and it's just you alone with your thoughts and your thoughts just consume you and you just can't find a way out? Yeah, that's happening to me a lot lately. So I was having one of those days today, so I decided to go on a walk. There's like this bike path next to a river near my house. That's where I am right now. I just found a place to sit down and brought my little backpack and a journal, so I've just been sitting out here and thinking and journaling, and I thought today would be a good day to make this video. The water is rushing kind of loudly, so I hope you can still hear me through this video. I just feel a little paranoid making this because I know that there's like a bike path slash walking path right behind me, and I just feel like people are gonna just be looking and staring at me while I'm making this video, but oh well. I've been wanting to make this video for almost 9 months now, but I've been procrastinating and just finding excuses why I didn't have the time for it or some other reason. 9 months ago I had an epiphany, aka a breakdown, aka a breakthrough. So over the past year I've taken a lot of like self-development courses. In this seminar, it was the second seminar, so there was one seminar that I took last September, and then the second seminar that I took, which is called the advanced course, I took last December. And it was in this course that I had like this epiphany and revelation about myself and my personality. It's about discovering how you can live your best life, the most extraordinary life that you want to live, and finding all of the things that you have put in the way of it from making that happen. If that makes any sense. We work on beliefs that we have about ourselves and other people in the world around us, and we work on stories that we've made up that aren't true, and we go through a lot of different activities, and they present different ideas to us, and then we have little conversations with the partner next to us, and we have little group discussions, and we talk about our lives, stuff like that. And so what I've kind of found it to be is like a really intense 3-day therapy session for everyone there, and at the very end of the 3 days everyone gets something out of it, and it's different and it's specific to what that person needs in their own life. And it's really kind of incredible how like this one program can really influence all these different sorts of people. Like I was one of the younger people there. You have to be at least 18 to be in this program, up until like you can, you know, up until you're an old person, you can be in this program. So there's a lot of older people there from lots of different walks of life, lots of different professions. So one of the main big components of the advanced course that I was in was trying to figure out what our act is. Now our act is, it's a big part of our personality, and it's basically our biggest defense mechanism. And so it's a way that we behave in the world, and we act this way almost all of the time. In all of our relationships, in almost all of our encounters, this is something that kind of drives who we are, and it kind of, it's an act that we put up. It's like, you know, like we're acting in a play. It's not who we really are, but it's our defense mechanism in order to protect ourselves. So the leader of our program said that our act has 2 components. The first component is like a negative belief that we have about ourselves. And sometimes this negative belief that we have about ourselves came from like an incident when we were a kid, or something that happened, or there's just something that happened that made us believe something about ourselves, and that we're shameful about, or that we don't want other people to know, or that we just really don't like about ourselves. So the second part of our act is our defense mechanism against it. It's the way that we protect ourselves so that other people like don't figure out the other part, or that we kind of justify ourselves because we have this negative belief about ourselves. And she said that it's like a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum, and they are very stubborn about it. The second part of our act is very stubborn. It's like a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum. And so for 2 of the days I was talking with our group, and I could not figure out what my act was, because I was like, I'm just such a nice person. Like, I am so nice, I don't understand how I could have like a mean, stubborn part to me, because that doesn't really seem to be like in my personality type. So I was talking to one of the women in my group about what my act could possibly be, and I was pretty sure that the first part of my act was I'm not good enough, but I hadn't really figured out what like the second mean, nasty, stubborn part of my act could be. Because I thought, you know, I'm just so nice to everyone. There's nothing about me that's nasty or stubborn. And so she's like, what is your reaction when you feel threatened? And I think this is like a really good way to figure out what your act is how do you react when you feel threatened in any sort of way? And I was like, well, I hide myself. I will push people away. I will put up walls, and I will isolate myself. I'll stay at home by myself, so to protect myself from other people. She said, maybe your act is I'm not good enough and you're never gonna find out. And when she said that, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. My act is I'm not good enough and you are never going to find out. And I was really relieved. And actually I was really happy that I had figured that out, because I had been working for 2 days to try to figure that out. So another part of this program is calling people that we know and kind of like making amends with them, and letting them know like the things we've discovered about ourselves. So that night I called my mom and I called my best friend, and I told them what my act was. And when I talked to my best friend, I told her my act, and I told her, you know, that I knew that I hid myself from her. I never really showed her all of who I really was. There were certain parts of me that I would never talk about. There was a lot of things that I just didn't talk about with her, that I kept by myself and to myself. And that was a really good conversation, and I cried. And when I was on the phone with my mom, I also cried. And this is a really weird thing, because I never cry. Like, that's something that I kind of pride myself on, or at least I used to, is that I never cry. So after this, we got back into our session, because I discovered all this on one of our lunch breaks. And so we got back into our session, and so our leader's like, does anyone want to come up and share like what they discovered, or, you know, did anyone have any really good phone calls? So I raised my hand and went up. Now this was Saturday night. This was the end of our second day, and I hadn't gone up in front of the group at all to say anything. I raised my hand and she called on me. When I got up to the front of the room, before I said anything, I just started bawling. Like, I started crying so much. And I was crying because I was really feeling the impact of that. So I said, I figured out my act. My act is, I'm not good enough, and you were never going to find out. And then I said I was crying because I realized I had never been completely honest or authentic or real with anyone in my entire life. And the impact of that on me was that I felt incredibly alone, and I was just releasing all of those feelings that I didn't want to deal with for so long, just like in a room full of 200 people. Because when I realized that, everything in my life started to make sense to me. It started to make sense to me why I pushed people away, why I didn't really feel like I had anyone who I was really close with. I've never felt like I've had anyone who was really close to me. And I realized it's all because of me. I realized this is the way that I behave in every single one of my relationships with everyone I've known, ever. So now I'm making this video almost 9 months after I had that realization. And it's not like it goes away. Like, just because I've realized that doesn't mean that doesn't affect me anymore, and it doesn't mean that it still doesn't control me in some ways. But now that I've identified it, I have a way to combat it. And although it's difficult, I know that that is my primary defense mechanism, and so I know that when I start to do that, I know that it's not healthy, and I don't just have to say this is the way that I am. This is just the way that I've been taught, that I've taught myself to cope with life, basically. And it gave me an insight as to why I like isolate myself all the time. Like, I used to always say that like I'm an introvert and I'm really shy, but I realized that I kind of use those as a crutch. I used this as an excuse to be by myself so that I didn't have to be with other people, so I didn't have to risk being vulnerable, so I didn't have to risk letting them see who I really am, because I wasn't cool with that. I was not gonna let that happen, because you are never going to find out that I'm not good enough. Shortly after I took the first seminar, I watched this TED Talk video by Brene Brown, and it was called The Power of Vulnerability. And it's become one of my absolute favorite TED Talks because I related to it so much. One of the things that she talks about in her video is shame. She says that shame is the fear of disconnection. And shame is something that everybody has, but nobody wants to talk about, because it's the question of, is there something about me that if other people found out, that I wouldn't be worthy of love and connection? And I was like, whoa, that's what it is. Like, that's what I've been hiding from. The part that I don't want people to find out about me is my shame. Because I'm afraid that if people find that out about me, that I won't be worthy of love and connection anymore. And that was a really big realization that I found out. And one of the things Brene talks about in her video, is that it's a complete lie. That oftentimes when we share the things that we are shameful of, when we are vulnerable, when we have enough courage to be vulnerable, then actually that is when we feel the deepest sense of love and connection, is when we share those things. And it's scary, because when we share those things, we are giving the other person a chance to reject us. We're giving them a chance to hurt us. But most of the time, they are inspired. Most of the time people are inspired when people are authentic and real and share something about themselves that they've never shared before. And that's completely altering from what we think will happen. That's one of the biggest things I got when I first made that video, I am fat and it doesn't mean anything that I'm fat. That was something that I was really shameful of, and I didn't want people to find out, because I thought that it wouldn't make me worthy of love and connection. But when I posted that video, I felt loved and I felt connection. Alright, well, that's all I have for this video. My friend Megan and I, we have another channel. We have another YouTube channel called The Megan Nora Show. We recently just posted a video. I will link that down below. We used to make a lot of videos, but we haven't made some in like 2 years, so hopefully we're also going to be starting more videos on that. If you would like to see more videos from me, please subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Alright, bye.